Good morning, all. Thank you for waiting. My name is Charles Ottaway. I am the compliance team leader here at Meydan Free Zone. Welcome, everybody, to today's webinar on a topic of utmost importance, compliance. Are you taking action and getting prepared? We are truly honoured to have you join us today as we delve into compliance readiness and your pivotal role. To enrich our discussion and provide valuable insights, we are privileged to have two distinguished individuals from the Executive Office with us today, Mr. Al-Khatiri and Mr. Al-Suwaidi. Their extensive experience and leadership in navigating the complexities of compliance will undoubtedly shed light on key strategies and best practices. Furthermore, I'm thrilled to introduce our Senior Compliance Officer, Dinesh Pereira, a dedicated expert who ensures our organisation remains steadfast in its commitment to compliance excellence. Now let's dive into the heart of our webinar. I invite Mr. Al-Khatiri to share his insights and perspective on the importance of compliance readiness in today's ever-evolving landscape. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. This is Mohammed. First, allow me to thank Meydan for organizing this great workshop and for their support in general when it comes to the AML-CTF file. At the Executive Office, we believe that the compliance framework is very important, both in the governmental sector as well as the private sector. So we encourage these workshops and we encourage the individuals who are participating and are willing to learn from these great experiences. The AML-CTF framework for the UAE has been going through a huge reform in the past couple of years. And thankfully, we are showcasing best practices in all fronts. So I would like to extend my thanks to all the governmental agencies that are working with us on this front, and especially Meydan for taking a proactive stance towards a healthy financial environment in the UAE. Wouldn't want to take much of your time. I know Ahmed Suwaidi will be presenting after me on behalf of the Executive Office. I would like to encourage all participants to ask all your questions, and we are here to support and to discuss together and to learn from each other as well. So thank you all for attending, and thank you, Meydan, for organizing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Boussaid. I would like first to thank Meydan for this opportunity and their efforts in raising an awareness and their cooperation with the Executive Office and with all entities. In the beginning, I would like to give a background and the history of the Executive Office. The Executive Office established in 2021 by the Cabinet Decree. The Executive Office plays a central role in the UAE fight against money laundering and terrorist financing. Its mission to implement the national strategy of anti-money laundering and countering financing of terrorism, along with the National Action Plan. As the primary coordinating body, it aims to enhance the UAE with a robust AML-CFT structure. The Executive Office mandate includes improving AML-CFT entities and enhancing their efficiency, ensuring that the UAE is well equipped to address the challenges ahead. The AML-CFT, the Executive Office, within the structure of the Executive Office, there's three core functions, serves as the pillars that support our commitment to combat money laundering and terrorist financing. First, our focus on the national policies and risks allow us to constantly monitor and assess the national risk we face. We don't just watch, we act, developing and proposing policies to mitigate these risks. Regular assessment ensure our strategies are effective and responsive to the evolving landscape. Second is the national coordination and follow-up, is where we bring our strategies to life. Oversight of the adoption and implementation of our national strategy and action plan is crucial. We comply with the national AML-CFT statistics, a reflection of our diligence and commitment to be an informed approach. Lastly, in the communication and strategic partnerships, we look beyond our borders. We're building international partnerships, enhancing the UAE, contributing to the global agenda. We're not just participants, we're leaders, promoting the UAE's profile and bonding our role in the international community efforts against money laundering and terrorist financing. What is the Financial Action Task Force? The Financial Action Task Force, or FATF, is an international organization founded in 1989 by the G7 countries in Paris. Its main role is to be a watchdog for global money laundering and terrorist financing. FATF sets international rules to prevent these financial crimes and make sure countries follow them. If they don't, the FATF steps in and hold them. Beyond setting standards, FATF also helps countries to improve their ability to fight money laundering and terrorist financing. They monitor and evaluate how well countries are doing in these areas, guiding them as needed. In short, the FATF plays a central role in making sure the world's financial system is safer and more trustworthy by setting guidelines and making sure they're followed. The FATF objective is to set standards and promote effective implementation of legal, regulatory, and operational measures for combating money laundering and terrorist financing, and threats to the integrity of the international financial system. Monitor countries' progress implementation of the FATF recommendation, promoting the adoption of implementation of the FATF recommendation globally, review money laundering and terrorist financing technique and countermeasures. The evolving against financial crimes, the FATF has shown its ability to adapt and lead. Let's look at some key milestones and principles. In 1996, the recommendation was reversed for the first time to reflect evolving money laundering typologies. The 1996 40 recommendations have been endorsed by more than 130 countries and are the international anti-money laundering standard globally. The FATF recommendation is set out a comprehensive and constant framework of measures which countries should implement in order to combat money laundering and terrorist financing, as well as financing of proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. Countries have diverse legal, administrative, and operational framework and different financial systems, and so cannot all take identical measures to counter these threats. The FATF have 11 immediate outcomes, and they are part of the FATF methodology for assessing the effectiveness of AML-CFT systems. First immediate outcome is risk policy and coordination. Is about understanding and coordinating action to the fight against money laundering and terrorist financing risk. Immediate outcome 2 is international cooperation, effectively cooperating with other countries in these efforts. Immediate outcome 3 is supervision, implementing proper oversight of financial institutions. And immediate outcome 4, preventive measures, applying preventive measures to combat illegal financial activities. Immediate outcome 5 is about legal person arrangements, understanding and managing risks tied to legal person and arrangements. Immediate outcome 6, financial intelligence unit, and utilizing financial intelligence effectively. Immediate outcome 7, money laundering investigation, properly investigation money laundering offenses. Immediate outcome 8, confiscating legal money tied to crimes. Immediate outcome 9, terrorist financing investigation, thoroughly investigation terrorist financing offenses. Immediate outcome 10, terrorist financing preventive measures and sanction, applying measures and sanction to prevented terrorist financing. PF, financial sanction, implementing targeted financial sanction related to the proliferation weapons of mass of destruction. The three immediate outcomes feed into three intermediate outcomes, which represent the major thematic goals of AML-CFT measures. The first IO and the second, policy coordination cooperation, mitigate the money laundering and financing terrorism risks. From the IO 3 and 5 to 5, receipt of crimes and funds in support of terrorism and are prevented from entering the financial and other sectors, or are detected and reported by the sectors. From IO 6 to 11, money laundering threats are detected and disrupted, and criminals are sanctioned and deprived of illicit proceeds. Terrorist financing threats are detected and disrupted. Terrorists are deprived of resources, and those who finance terrorism are sanctioned, thereby contributing to the provision of terrorist acts. The FATF assessment process. First, the mutual evaluation report, initial assessment detailing a country anti-financial crimes measures. After that is the post-observation progress report. Document steps taken by a country to address deficiency identified in the MER, the mutual evaluation report. After that, increased monitoring, enhanced oversight for countries not making a pleasing progress. Progress report, regular update on action taken by the country under increased monitoring. And then after that, the public statement, FATF communicate to the global community about risk associated with the country's deficiencies. Blacklisted is it's for the country posing a significant risk of the international financial system due deficiencies. And then immediate outcome 5, which is related to registrar, legal person and arrangements. Legal person and arrangements are prevented for misuse for money laundering or terrorist financing, and the information on their beneficial ownership is available to competent authority without challenges. Legal persons refer to an entity other than natural person that can obtain license to carry on the activity without jurisdictions or international, such as trading, shipping. This can include companies, LLC, establishment, PLC. Legal arrangements refers to any entity having arrangement with three parties to control and manage all entities' assets, such as trust companies. Beneficial ownership refers to the natural person who ultimately owns the controls entity. It also includes those persons who exercise ultimate effective control over a legal person or arrangement. Outcome 5 relates primarily to recommendation 24 and 25, and also elements of recommendation 1, 10, 37, and 40. Measures are in place to prevent legal person and arrangement from being used for criminal purposes, make a legal person and arrangement sufficiently transparent, ensure the accurate and up-to-date basic and beneficial ownership information is available on a timely basis, and beneficiary ownership information is available to competent authority. Legal persons who breach these measures are subject to effective sanctions. These result in legal person and arrangement being unattractive for criminals to misuse for money laundering and terrorist financing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for providing an insight on the background and history of the Executive Office. Now we have Dinesh, who will go through our inspections process here conducted between Meydan Free Zone and our registered businesses.
Yeah, thank you, Charles. Hello, all. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dinesh. So I'm the Senior Compliance Officer at Meydan Free Zone. So thank you for attending today's webinar, and I would like to thank the Executive Office for their collaboration. So today we will be discussing the inspections process conducted between Meydan Free Zone and their registered businesses as per the compliance requirements within the UAE. So we will also look at the various documents that are required for this process. And at the end of this webinar, you will have a good understanding with regards to the inspections process, and you will be better equipped as a business owner to take action on compliance requirements. I would ask you a few questions, to gauge your understanding, followed by a Q&A session, Q&A at the end of the session. But firstly, before we move on, what is compliance? And what is the importance of compliance? So compliance is a state of accordance that ensures businesses are following UAE laws and regulations. The importance of compliance is that it can help protect companies from the threat of financial crime risk and avoid any reputational damage. And on top of that, it can provide economic stability for the country, right? So next, let's look at the inspections process at Meydan, right? So the inspections process consists of a virtual or face-to-face meeting with your, at your registered office. So this meeting would last for about, 15 to 30 minutes. So let me brief you through what this process is about and how it begins. So the inspections process will begin when, the AML supervision team here at Meydan contacts you via email. So you will receive an email saying that your company is due for an inspection. And I'll show you what this email looks like in the next slide. However, the purpose of this inspection, right, is to better understand your company's purpose, business plan, and current operations, and to assess business overall compliance with relevant legislation. So it also, creates awareness for you as a business owner around certain laws and regulations that you must adhere to when operating in the UAE, right? And there are certain laws that you must adhere specifically to Cabinet Resolution 53 and 58 relating to the inspections process, which we will be discussing in detail today. So all these, cabinet resolutions, they ensure that all free zones, meet regulatory obligations, and by making UAE a safer place to conduct business, right? Okay, so moving on to the next slide. So this is, the initial email that the AML supervision team at Meydan sends to you as a client if you have a business. So this is, we would request for certain documents. So you can see document 1, 2, 3, 4 bullet points, and with certain deadlines. So all you have to do is respond to the AML supervision team with the required documents, and we'll take a look at what these documents are in the next slide, right? So the list of documents required for inspections. So there are 5 very important documents that you need to submit for us to conduct, for us to proceed with the inspections process. So number 1 is the entity register, right? And we'll talk about this entity register in detail, right, later on. And I'm not sure if you've heard of this. So we'll talk about it moving forward, yeah? And the second document is, previous year's financial statements or records. So this is basically, audited financial statements. And if this is not prepared, right, we can accept corporate bank statements. And the third requirement is board meeting minutes. So as all businesses will have board meeting minutes, and in the event you do not have, you can, we will provide you a template where you can download it, and you could include strategic plans for your company. And the fourth requirement is for you to provide, supporting documents such as invoices to your, to and from your suppliers, to see if, you've been transacting with them. So these documents are supporting documents in addition to the statements that you provide, right? And the fifth requirement is address verification. So this is very straightforward. So if you have a, let's say, an office outside of Meydan, and if you have an NOC, you can provide us with your current address details where your office is located, right? And all of this information will be requested from you via email from the AML supervision team So you can see the email there, amlsupervision@meydanfz.ae. So this is where you will receive an email from, and you are required to submit these documents, right? So I understand you might have a little bit of a gray area here in terms of the entity register, right? So I have a poll. So I just want to ask the audience if, does your company maintain an entity register? So let's have a look at, what the audience have to say about this. Yeah, so we'll give you about a minute. Yeah. Okay. So we're waiting for you to respond. Yeah. We still haven't received any responses yet. Yeah, we have 10 more seconds. Okay, right. So I can see the poll results here. So I can see that 46% says that they are aware of this. They do maintain an entity register. However, the majority of the audience is saying that they are not aware of this requirement. So all right. So we can actually look at what this requirement is, and this will definitely help you this webinar. So, okay, so what is the entity register? So moving on to the next slide. So I can show you what the entity register looks like. Yeah. So, okay. So this is a template of, what an entity register would look like. So this is not something, that has to be in this order, right? So as per the Ministry of Economy, it is compulsory for an entity register to consist of the following information that you see on the screen. However, you can have your own version of an entity register as a business owner, and the layout may be different, but there are a lot of information that needs to be captured accurately, right? So you can maintain this document as a hard copy or a soft copy, and it's totally up to you how you maintain this. But there are certain information. So as a business owner, you would see you can include your company name, your full name, basis of UBO, nationality, date of birth, place of birth. So these are all basic information that business owners would have for themselves. So this entity register consists of 3 sections, which is the ultimate beneficial owner register, then the shareholder register, and nominee arrangements. So you as a business owner, you can decide, you as a business owner, you would know who the shareholders are and who the ultimate beneficial owners are of the company. And if you do have nominee arrangements, you can include these in this other section as well, in the 3rd section below, right? So this is quite simple document that you can maintain on your own. So if you haven't done so, you need to start, maintaining your own entity register. This is a good practice to have, yeah? Okay, so moving on. So I'm just going to go to the next question. So next poll, which is, are you aware of Cabinet Resolution 53 of 2021 and Cabinet Resolution of 58? So this is something that I want to know. So yeah, you have 45 seconds. Okay, you have 20 seconds. No? Yeah, 10 seconds more. Okay. Right. So, okay. Yeah, I can see that 18% say that they are aware of the Cabinet Resolution 53 and 58, which is great. And again, the majority, 82%, say that they did not know about Cabinet Resolution 53 and 58. So moving on to the next slide. So let me show you what this Cabinet Resolution is all about. So these Cabinet Resolutions, they govern the UBO, legislations. So we have certain violations under this Cabinet Resolution as well. So if you do not maintain an entity register of your own, and if you do not, identify, let's say, the beneficial owner and their information, and if you do not disclose this information, there are penalties or administrative penalties that could apply. So what you're seeing on the screen right now is we have about 13 clauses, right? And in Cabinet Resolution 53 and 58. So we do have, what we call written warnings that we issue to clients for not disclosing this information to us. And then the second one would be an administrative penalty. As you can see on your column here, they go from 10,000 to up to even 50,000 dirhams. And then you have the final, the third warning again, which is another penalty, which is much more, which starts from 20,000 and goes on up until about 100,000. So these are some Cabinet resolutions that we have, clauses from 1 to 3. Next, we have clauses from 4 to 6, right? And again, we have clauses from 7 to, can we go to the next one? Yeah, from 7 to 9, right? So these are relating to the UBOs. So all in all, so these Cabinet resolutions are available on our website. So you could just go to the compliance section in our Meydan Free Zone website and download these Cabinet resolutions for your awareness. So if you're still not able to find, you can still visit the Ministry of Economy website, which is our regulatory body, and download these Cabinet resolutions and keep them for yourself, which is important to know. Okay, moving on. So yeah. So these are the last, what we call Cabinet resolutions that we have. So we have up until 13, right? Okay, great. All right, so next is we're going to be looking at some of the roles and responsibilities of, business owners, finance managers, and compliance officers, right? And how they can improve the compliance requirements and play a role. Okay, so first off, let's look at business owners, right? Okay, so yeah, so for business owners, you as a business owner, you need to maintain an entity register. So I've showed you what the entity register looks like. So you can, we also, the AML supervision department will provide you a template should you require one. And when you are called for an inspection meeting, we will definitely provide you a template for you. So you can use this, if you do not have a entity register of your own, you could start using this entity register. But now all of you in the webinar know that an entity register is a compulsory requirement, and you need to start maintaining this. So you could download this from somewhere and start maintaining a register of your own, which includes all your shareholder details, UBO details, and also nominee arrangements. Yeah. So as a business owner, you need to definitely maintain an entity register of your own, and update it whenever there is any changes. So you can annotate any changes when they are done. And also as a business owner, you're supposed to understand, the business activity, right? Whether they fall under DNFPB regulations, and you also need to comply with these regulations. So now with regards to designated, non-financial businesses and professions, right? There are certain businesses that can be categorized into this category. So which includes casinos, real estate agents, dealers, precious metal, and lawyers, notaries, trusts, and service providers. So what are the compliance requirements for DNFPBs? So DNFPBs, right? They should have like a documented AML CTF policy or a procedure within them, right? And they should also have a designated compliance officer. They should also sign up, for GoAML for reporting purposes to the Financial Intelligence Unit. And also, as a part of due diligence, they also need to have screening tools, for example, tools such as WorldCheck at the onboarding stage to screen clients, right? So these are some of the compliance requirements for DNFPBs. And as a business owner, you need to be aware what your business will fall under. So looking at the type of activities, you should be able to understand what your business will fall under, right? And also, if you you can also avoid potential administrative fines by meeting deadlines and submitting accurate information. So if you get an email from Meydan asking you for information, please do respond promptly, and make sure that you seek clarification whenever required, right? And of course, if you have anything to do with inspections process, the AML supervision team here at Meydan will handle all your queries, and you can direct them to AML supervision at meydanfz.ae. Right? Okay. Moving on. Let's look at the role of finance managers, right? So in your company, if you have a finance manager, their roles are very broad, right? So as a finance manager, you can what you have to do is you have to submit audited financial statements, upon request from Meydan. And in the absence of this, you can provide bank statements, corporate bank statements, and to support your activity, you could, submit invoices and also keep a track of all your, keep or maintain all your financial records. Okay. So this is the role of finance manager. And next we will look at the role of a compliance officer, right? Okay. Okay. So a compliance officer will basically ensure that all legal entities, complies with the government AML rules and regulations on different laws. So as a compliance officer, you are required to report, suspicious activity to the authorities, report what we could know as an STR or an SAR. Yeah. So now you might be concerned, who might be a compliance officer, right, in your organization? You might not have a compliance officer in your organization. So you don't necessarily need to have a dedicated compliance officer in your organization. If you do, it's great. But if you don't, then you can still be an compliance officer yourself, right? So all you need to do is be updated on the AML policies. And, there are certain websites that can also help you, equip you to be a compliance officer in your organization. So you can actually visit some of these websites. So below you have UAE AML policies. So if you visit the Ministry of Economy website, you can view all AML policies. And also we have a link here that gives you information on DNFPB regulations. So if you're unsure if your business falls under DNFPB regulations, you can visit this website for sure, right? So these efforts are definitely, necessary to meet the requirements of Financial Action Task Force, enhancing UAE's reputation as a highly global what we call economic hub, right? Highly competitive economic hub, I would say. So yeah, all right, thank you. So let's move on to the Q&A session now.
Thank you, Dinesh. So as Dinesh mentioned, we're going to go through the Q&A. We've had a few questions come through, so we'll just go through some of them. So we've got one here. Once you register a company in Meydan Free Zone, how much time do you have to register for AML? Dinesh, I believe that one's you.
Yeah, so as soon as you register in Meydan Free Zone, I think you have to immediately register for AML. So if, for example, if your business falls under the DNFPB category, right, if you undertake activities like, for example, of a real estate agent or precious metals and stones dealer, you are required to, reach out to the Ministry of Economy and register yourself as a DNFPB, and they would guide you on what you need to do next. So, for example, they will specifically mention if your business would fall under this category and whether you need to, let's say, register on GoML or not. But I hope this helps.
Perfect. That's great. We've got another question here. So what if your company has multiple activities? And I believe they're referring to if, for example, your company's dealing in different sectors or has activities that pertain to different industries.
Okay, so if your company has multiple activities, yeah, that's totally fine. So it's just you need to be concerned about the activities that fall under different regulations. So for example, if I'm going to speak about DNFPB again, you might be into computer, software engineering, and then you might also have, let's say, real estate license. So you may have multiple activities in your license. However, the concern is when you have, let's say, when you have activities of DNFPB activities, you need to register for DNFPB with the Ministry of Economy, right? I hope this helps.
Great, thank you, Dinesh. Another question we've got is, I think this relates to when we showed the list of documents we request during the inspections process. So, do businesses need to provide all of their invoices or just a handful / the biggest invoice amounts?
All right, this is a great question. So we would request you to provide, let's say, audited financial statements along with supporting documents. So you can just provide a handful of invoices. You're not required to submit all the invoices that you've done, right? All regarding all transactions. So if you can provide the ones where you have the bigger transactions, so for example, with high values, so this would really help us. And also, after the inspections meeting, the inspections agent would request you for additional invoices if required. So as a, when you submit documents, you can provide at least, 3 to 4 invoices, which has the largest values.
Perfect, that's great. Thank you, Dinesh. Another question, I think this has been quite a popular one. Why has my business not received the email?
Okay, so usually we would send, this email to, let's say, all the shareholders and also the channel partners that are involved. However, if you have not received this email, that means your company is probably not due for an inspection meeting, right? So this inspection process is an annual exercise that we do, right? So let's say during the setup until about a year, you will not be invited for an inspections meeting. So this would happen after a year. Right, so that's the time when you would be called for an inspection meeting and you would receive an email from us. And if you haven't received this, we would, usually try to contact the client via phone and tell them that, an email has been sent to them, inviting them for an inspections meeting.
That's great, thank you, Dinesh. I think the next question again has been a popular one, which you just briefly touched upon. If you could reiterate, that would be great. How often does Meydan conduct the AML supervision inspection?
Okay, so this would be on an annual basis. So depending on the risks, we would look at 1 year. So I would say after incorporation, every year they will go through an annual inspections meeting. All businesses, active businesses.
That's perfect. And again, this is quite a popular question, which slightly relates to one of the earlier polls we done. Is there a specific format for the entity register?
Okay, so now if we invite you for an inspections meeting, we would send you an initial email, requesting for certain documents. And in this, you will also find, an entity register template. Right, so you could use this if you haven't had, if you do not maintain an entity register for yourself, you can use this as a template and continue to maintain this document going forward. However, there is no specific format for an entity register. So you could have your own version and, the details that I showed you in the previous slide, which includes, a certain information, those are mandatory information to be in your entity register. So if you look up entity register on Google, I think you should be able to find a lot of sample templates for your company, right? And you could start maintaining this. I hope that helps, yeah.
Thank you, Dinesh.
Yeah.
Another question which we've had quite regularly, at which date would you receive the email or the request to conduct the inspection?
Okay, so this, of course, depending on the type of incorporation. So if your company was formed in the month of May, then by so in 2024 May, you would receive an email saying that your company is due for an inspection. So this is usually the time when your company goes through the renewal process. But we should not confuse. So there are certain requirements for the license renewal process, which is completely different, and the inspections process is completely different. So if you receive, an email from AML supervision team requesting for certain information, this should not be mistaken for the license renewal process. So if you have submitted your requirement for the license renewal, you should not mistake this. So this is a completely different request, and you should, try to respond to us promptly.
That's great, thank you. Another question that we've had from a few clients is, how much time do we have to provide the documents for the inspection?
Okay, so this is a very good question. So if you receive an email from, the AML supervision department, there's a deadline mentioned. So usually you have about, 2 to 3 weeks for you to provide this information. So usually a deadline is always provided. And if you look clearly through the email, you would know what requirements, what are the requirements. So for example, what are the documents that you need to submit, and also the deadline in which you need to submit these requirements. Yeah.
Thank you, Dinesh. I think the next question would be quite useful for some of our clients. What is a nominee arrangement? So where it was shown on the entity register, it'd be good to just give a brief explanation of what a nominee is.
Yeah. So a nominee is a legal arrangement, so where someone holds shares on behalf of you. So if you do have an arrangement in place like this, this is where you need to disclose this information to us and input this information in, in your entity register, I would say. So if someone else is holding shares on behalf of you, this is a nominee arrangement. Yeah. So this is basically a legal arrangement, very similar to that of a power of attorney arrangement. Yeah. Hope that helps, Charles. Yeah.
Thank you, Dinesh. Another popular question, do all companies have to have an entity register?
Absolutely. So even if you have not conducted business operations, even if your company is inactive, let's say you might have just set up a company in Meydan, but you have no business operations, still you are required to maintain a UBO register of your own. Right. So this is a legal requirement, and we've discussed, previously regarding Cabinet Resolution 53 and 58, where, you could potentially get administrative penalties for not maintaining this information yourself. Right. So this is a minimum requirement for business owners to do. Yeah. So as a business owner, you need to be, you need to have this entity register in place.
Perfect. And again, another popular question, which was briefly touched upon, but if you can go in a bit more detail, what is DNFPB?
Okay, this is a very good question, right? So DNFPB is, right, designated non-financial businesses and professions, right? They can include casinos, real estate agents, dealers in precious metals. They could include, lawyers, notaries, trusts, company service providers, right? So these are designated non-financial businesses and professions. So they are usually, this information is available on the Ministry of Economy website. So if you're unsure if your company falls under this DNFPB, you can actually visit the Ministry of Economy website and search for this. So whether if your company, is if some of the activities that you undertake fall under the DNFPB category or not, right? So these are, gatekeepers, I would say, and in terms of money laundering, these are very vulnerable activities.
Thank you, Dinesh. Another one. Can you share the entity register template?
Okay, so if you would like to have this entity register template, this is actually available on our website as well. So if you visit Meydan Free Zone website, and under the compliance section, there's a section called UBO. So if you click this, you should be able to download the entity register that we have online. Yeah, so this includes all the minimum information that needs to go in a entity register. However, you can have a template of your own as well, right? So it's up to you. You could have different versions of this. You could have a template with much more information, which is more detailed as well. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you, Dinesh. Another question we've had from a few clients, I think pertaining to DNFPB, is where can we find good screening tools?
Where can we find? Sorry.
That's okay. So I'll take this one, Dinesh. So okay. Screening tools, there are a number of different name screening vendors. For example, some of the most renowned are Refinitiv, also known as WellCheck. You've also got LexisNexis. There's another one called Acuity, but you can simply, if you just go on Google, for example, you can just simply Google name screening tool or name screening vendor, specifically related to AML and compliance, and you will get a list. But as I mentioned, you've got Refinitiv, LexisNexis, and Acuity. Some of the screening tools provide different facilities. So depending on what your business is doing and the activities, I would recommend just doing a bit of research on the three that I've just mentioned and finding which one is most appropriate for your business. We've got another question for you, Dinesh. Can Meydan Free Zone customer service help us understand if our company falls under the DNFPB category or not?
Yes. So if you'd like to know if, of course, if you email Meydan customer service, they would direct this query to the compliance team, and of course we'll be able to help you, inform you if your what we call business activity falls under DNFPB category. However, it's best if you can reach out to the Ministry of Economy directly and get a confirmation from them whether specific if the specific activities that you undertake using your business license falls under this, because not everything will fall under DNFPB category. There are certain specific activities which will not fall under this. So the Ministry of Economy will be able to best guide you here.
Thank you, Dinesh. So we've got another question. I think this is quite a popular one that we've come across during the inspection itself, but also has been raised here a few times. Is my business required to be inspected if it has not conducted any business activities or operations?
Okay, so this is a great question. So yes, so if you have not conducted any business activity or operations, you're still required to go through the inspections process. So you should not ignore this requirement. So just because you have a license and you have not conducted any activity doesn't mean you are exempt from this requirement. So you're still, there are UBO laws that you need to still fulfill. So this Cabinet Resolution 53 and 58, like we discussed, is partly to do with UBO compliance. And you need to provide, the entity registrar as the minimum document if you have not conducted any operation. So this is one of the documents that we require from your end.
So I think we've just got time for one more question. Are the inspections live or are they virtual?
Okay, so currently we do, virtual inspection meetings with all our businesses, registered businesses. So it would be a, Microsoft Teams meeting that we do. So this is how we conduct the inspections process. But then, of course, if you have, a physical office space, we would also sometimes do this, visit your, your office space and then do a, meeting there as well, face-to-face meeting. Right, but all in all, I would say, and most of the time we do virtual inspection meetings. So you could be anywhere across the globe, and we can still, reach out to you and complete this process.
I don't know. That's great. Thank you, Dinesh. Well, I just want to thank everyone for your time today and for attending. Thank you to the Executive Office. Thank you to our events team for putting this together, and thank you to Dinesh. As you can see on the screen, we do have a QR code for everyone to scan to share your feedback. That would be great. So if you could do that, as I said, your feedback would be really important to us to help us moving forward with any future webinars that we can host. But once again, thank you very much all for your time. We do really appreciate it. Thank you.